Welcome to My Security TV. My name is Chris Cubbage. I'm the Executive Editor and Director for My Security Media, and I think we might have it right this time. We should be streaming live on YouTube, LinkedIn and Facebook, and I've got a couple of guests who will join us very shortly. Let me just go through some introductions, only about 5 minutes or so, just to give you an update on what we're doing and what we did earlier this week. Now, I'm still getting used to the system as we walk through, but you should be able to see that now, my slide deck. And what we do on My Security TV, we cover aerospace and space, defence and national security, cybersecurity and critical technology, and cities and infrastructure. We'll go for about 30 to 60 minutes. This episode will be around 45 minutes, I'd imagine. And as I said, we are streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook if all else is going well. Okay, so today's episode, we've got Guillaume, the Senior Director Cybersecurity for Avanade Australia, and we're looking at Black Friday. Happy Black Friday to those who are shopping, and also on Cyber Monday, and just having a look around the cybersecurity risks, both for the consumer and for the retailers in that respect. And then we're going to be joined by Jacqueline, Jayne, from a security awareness advocate for KnowBe4. We're going to look at 2021 predictions and do a bit of a walkthrough what we can expect. Again, both of these are authors for the Australian Cybersecurity magazine and the Cyber Risk Leaders magazine, so it's great to have them on this particular episode, and we'll have links to their articles in the show notes. So Tuesday, earlier this week, we finalised a Security Consultant Insight series. We had episode 4. This was a full panel session looking at the future directions for smart connected buildings, precincts and cities. And these are the senior consultants that are doing the specifications and the sort of the lead consultancy on projects, as well as Richard Cathedge, I'll highlight there as a fire engineer looking at the fire safety balance there as well. All of these episodes are now on My Security TV and our YouTube channel. On Tuesday also, we went live, partially live. We at least got to LinkedIn and YouTube. We had Colonel Robert Watson, Doc Watson, who's the Director for Joint Cyber Directorate Information Warfare Division, looking at their ADF Cyber Skills Challenge. And I'll be cutting these down. They're about to be released as podcasts as well. And Nick Harlow, who was in San Francisco, he's the Senior Director Product Management for HackerOne, looking again 2021 outlook for the CISOs. We'll be able to do a comparison to what JJ comes up with as well. We're highlighting this is a partnership with Alcid and Trustwave. That's a Singtel company looking at Active Directory security, and that's going to be on the 14th of December. You do need to register for that one, so watch out for the links or go to mysecurity.tv. And we had a reschedule for today. Today was supposed to be Malaysia's National Telecom Cybersecurity with the CEO for Cybersecurity Malaysia and also the Senior Vice President there, Ravindran, for HGC. That's been rescheduled to December 9th, same time, 1 o'clock AEDT, so that's a Wednesday. On Tuesday, and Nicholas won on episode 1 on Tuesday this week. He's got a free YubiKey experience, and I've got 2 more to give away. Let me just go to the chats if anyone's actually listening. Robin, I'll give you one. We'll find out where you are, Robin, but thank you. You've won yourself a YubiKey experience. And the next comment or chat to come up online will get the 3rd one. And I haven't done this before, but we'll get one out to you. Anyway, Robin, well done. You've got yourself a YubiKey. I'll keep going. The Blackout series with Shemaine Tan. This is on the 10th of December and sponsored by Recorded Future. She's got Gregory Tohill, who is the former CISO for President Barack Obama. And again, seeing the registrations coming in, that's going to be a very good episode, and proud to be media partners with the Cyber Risk meetups. And on the marketplace, these are kind of some of the events that are on next week. PrivSec Innovation Series in Indonesia, Cloud Transformation Champions online with Perineum. There's a Black Bali DeFi Summit. Damn, we're not allowed to travel right now, otherwise I'd be in Bali next week. And then in the UK, this is UK time, but we are covering some of the videos on YouTube. So this is combating today's major cybersecurity threats faced by enterprise CISOs, and that's with NetEvents in the UK. Also dropped a podcast from Jayne Lowe, our Singapore correspondent this week, an interview with the Chief Security Officer for the HISAC, Errol Weiss. That's looking at physical and cyber threat intel sharing for the healthcare sector. And that was the week before we did a live book review with Jeff Raby, the former Australian ambassador to China. That's now out as a podcast also. So in terms of the pipeline, I just finished yesterday. I interviewed the data center and PC heads for Lenovo, and that'll be out very shortly. This morning, interviewed the regional director for ANZ for CyberArk, and that'll be out probably next week. And there's some breaking news from Alkira. Have got an embargoed announcement coming out early next week too. Did a sort of podcast interview with the CTO for Alkira, so looking at network cloud infrastructure. We have some others coming up: Accenture, Milestone, and Nokia, and stay tuned for those. Please get your copy from the marketplace, Cyber Risk Leaders. And as it happens, one of our guests, Jacqueline Jayne, is in that particular episode looking at cybersecurity culture. So yeah, that's free for download. Otherwise, you can purchase it on issue.com. So that's pretty much it from me. And I don't even know what slide's next. I don't think there is another slide. So I'm going to hand over now and stop sharing. And let me just give me a chance to break these over. And we're going to be joined by Guy. How are you, Guy? Thanks for joining us.
Very good, Chris. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be joining the show. I'm a big fan. As you know, I had the opportunity to contribute to some publications with the Australian Cybersecurity Manual in the past, magazine in the past as well. And I highly value the opportunity to have a discussion today on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and cybersecurity, obviously.
Wonderful. Yeah, I brought up a couple of your articles. You've written a couple of articles, one on cryptocurrency and the GDPR in the Australian Cybersecurity magazine. So again, we'll have those links. But thanks for your contribution. I don't think we've actually met, certainly not online on a sort of format like this. So thank you very much. Maybe introduce yourself in terms of what your current role is, and then we'll dive into Cyber Monday and Black Friday.
There we go. Thank you again. So my name is Guy. I've been working in cybersecurity for the last 18 years. That's not the reason why I have lost a bit of hair. It's been a fantastic journey. I come from a research and development background. Initially in cybersecurity, I was part of what is called now the IBM Security Research and Development Labs, based at the Gold Coast, a great location to start your.
So you're in Brisbane, despite the accent.
Yes, absolutely. I'm based in Brisbane. I know I've got the right accent for it. And look, along the years, I've developed drove my career to be more involved in a consulting point of view with Deloitte, and importantly in building and driving cybersecurity advisory practices with Telstra and now with Avanade as well, that I have joined recently. And I've got the pleasure and the honor to lead the business of Avanade Security in Australia.
Avanade, it's quite a large company. It's a multinational, right? I'm not fully aware. What kind of business are they? What do they do?
So Avanade is a fantastic company to work for. That's what I would like to say in the first place. We are truly global. We can say, a focused area of expertise around the Microsoft technologies and Microsoft platforms, where we provide advice, solution build and delivery, and importantly, managed services as well. We've got quite a broad spectrum of domains where we assist organizations across all industries and in many geographies as well. One of which, obviously, is cybersecurity, which is a very high growth sector for us, and we have a fantastic opportunity to assist organizations to improve their cybersecurity posture.
Do you do the full suite of services? Where's your strength? So I imagine governance, risk and compliance would be a leading one. What type of suite of services do you guys offer?
So we provide quite a broad spectrum of services. We would probably, focus more so on, number one, protecting Microsoft platforms and environments overall. Number two, and delivering our clients tangible results from a cybersecurity posture point of view and compliance point of view by maximizing and optimizing their use of Microsoft security technologies, right? That's what we do. We protect Microsoft environments and we use Microsoft security to protect the enterprise as well. Within the domain, we certainly have quite distinct pockets of capabilities from a governance, risk and compliance, from a cloud security point of view, identity and access management. We do a lot from an endpoint protection point of view, data loss prevention as well, developing quite significantly in new domains of security, such as IoT security, for example.
Nice. Okay, well, let's talk us through. I had a stat that came off ABC News, the $28 billion that Australians are spending today. I don't know if that was true, but maybe introduce Black Friday. I'm certainly been alive to it since we were going to have you on, and I'm hearing it every left, right, and centre at the moment. I think I even bought something yesterday for Black Friday. It might have been this morning. Introduce, I suppose, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and what some of the cyber sort of activity we're going to see around this as well.
Sure. Look, for me personally, I'm very excited about Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And just to relate to it from a personal point of view, as I woke up this morning, my wife was online looking at shopping for, we've got 3 children, right? So children's toys and gifts for Christmas, because there's some great deals to be done at the moment. This morning, maybe it's the same for you and the audience, I've also received more emails than usual about promotions, for camping gears, for cycling jerseys. I like cycling, but importantly for some security items as well, such as VPN, 50% discount, right? Or as secure email services, 50% discount as well. This is fantastic, right? So Black Friday and Cyber Monday is a tradition that originally comes from the US. It's at the back of Thanksgiving. It originates from the mid-1950s, and it was really, kicked off to boost the lead up to Christmas from a shopping point of view. So it's a fantastic retail initiative to excite people in starting to buy in the lead up to Christmas, and to provide some great deals and discounts as well for a range of offers. So historically, it was only Black Friday, and we have the broader event, which is Cyber Monday, was added, a bit more cyber focused, obviously, the name. In Australia, from a retail and shopping experience point of view, the 2 events actually join a bit together, right? So it's Black Friday and Cyber Monday. What it is at the end of the day, it's a fantastic opportunity to do some great shopping for 4 days.
Very good. I'll give a shout out. I saw Mike Monick from DroneSec has a GitHub list of stuff for cybersecurity and the like, and I had a quick look, and there's a heap on there. So yeah, you can check that out. I'll try and get Mike to send us over the link if I see it again. What's the observations that you've had? We did have a release from you, so you were sort of preparing retailers, consumers for the risks. So you mentioned you're getting an uptake in emails and offers. Are we looking at increased fraud? What type of sort of, even a BEC fraud, I'd imagine, would kind of even be a heightened one on this one. What type of activity let's maybe start with the retailers. From a retail perspective and their websites, what type of activity should they be looking out for?
Look, for the retail industry, which we all know has definitely suffered in the last few months with the COVID-19 pandemic, some lockdowns, particularly impacting brick and mortar traditional outlets, the opportunity to capitalize on growing revenue and recouping a little bit the loss from earlier in the year is critical. And this window of opportunity that we have right now across those 4 days and leading to Christmas as well is really critical for the business, right? So the retail industry, the retail organizations, the retailers, suffer from the same type of threats and risks as most of the other organizations as well. There can be some differences based on industries, obviously, but it's the same type of threats and risks. The specificity, which I think increases the risk at this time of the year, is that you expect an influx of shoppers online to grab the bargain, right? And this is unfortunately a window of time where the cyber criminals can capitalize on the business criticality which represent that window. So I expect to see, unfortunately, an elevated threat activities that includes, for example, denial of service. That includes an increase of malware such as ransomware as well. I think the ransom element is very important. And you can think about it. How bad would it be for an online retailer, an Australian one, for example, to have their operations crippled or delayed or severely impacted at this time of the year? It would definitely deny them the opportunity to recoup and generate revenues as well. So they need to be careful about the network traffic, about denial of service, about ransomware. It's a very important time of the year to reflect on their cybersecurity posture and try to improve it, right? Very importantly.
Is there a bit of brand, we're going to move over to what the consumer is, but is there a bit of brand risk there? If we look at what the risk to the consumer is with false websites and the like, you could actually create twin websites that aren't quite real to have either reputation damage or just to steal that consumerism.
Reputation is a business critical asset. There is no doubt about it. And to be subject to cyber criminals that exploit a brand, that build a fake website, that try to entice shoppers or consumers to go to that website can definitely, unfortunately, and indirectly impact the reputation and the overall business of an organization as well. As a retailer, it can be difficult to manage also. There are ways where proactive actions in terms of monitoring, can help a little bit as well. But reputation is so important to every business. You don't want to be in the front page for having been hacked in the middle of Black Friday and Cyber Monday right now. It would clearly stand out.
Yeah, it's not a good look for when it comes around again next year. So maybe talk us through the consumer. What should the consumer be looking out for other than what they're spending? Maybe, what are some of the red flags, I think, rather than maybe through just phishing emails and the like, particularly on websites that they're visiting, what would be some of the key things that they should be looking out for?
Sure. So first and most importantly, I would encourage everybody to look at finding a bargain online, right? I would not advise to avoid the opportunities of Black Friday and Cyber Monday. However, I think it's very important for consumers to be aware of the risks they may be subject to at this specific time of the year and leading to Christmas as well. As for the retailers, they can fall prey to cyber criminals that may want to lure them. So as I was reported earlier, and maybe it's the same for you, I'm getting a lot more emails at the moment, right? And I'm getting more text as well and social media messages also. I would advise for shoppers to think before they click at the end of the day and really pay attention to the messages they receive. Pay attention to the wording you receive. Are there any typos in an email, for example? Does it sound right? Look at the link as well that you may be invited to click on to get a discount or get a great bargain as well. Does the link look right? And I would advise, for example, as opposed to clicking on the link, just typing the URL directly in the web browser, right? Now this becomes, in my opinion, more difficult and more challenging to manage when dealing with mobile devices. When you get an email, you can look at it quite big on the screen and you can clearly read usually the URL or CTZ. On the mobile device, it's quite simple, right? You may get a bit of a tiny URL and it's a lot easier to get tricked into clicking in the wrong link, be presented with a fake website, and in effect providing your personal information, your credit card details, and at the end of the day, be the subject of a very disappointing and potentially costly experience as well. If you allow me, I would also suggest, there is an opportunity, and I think it's a good thing to do, to report any online scams that people can detect. And I would suggest that the Australian cybersecurity website, the cyber.gov.au, is a fantastic place to go to, provided by the government, obviously, to report actual or suspected scams, as they may impact individuals, families, small businesses, or larger enterprises.
Yep.
As well.
The other one would be a scam watch as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's a good advice also.
Yeah.
That's a good advice.
I've been a bit distracted here. I got an email from my bank. Sorry, not an email, a text message from my bank, and I was a bit surprised. And it is a Cyber Monday survey that they're doing. What should the larger enterprise, obviously they want to be involved and support this, but do they potentially confuse it when the banks are sending out text messages as well? What's your view on, again, maybe back to the retailers and the larger enterprise, what's the best form to communicate to their consumer base? I'll leave it open. I don't know what the answer is necessarily, unless I could give some thought to it.
I'm happy to share my thought. Importantly, I am not, communication specialist.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very importantly, and like you, I experience different channels of input of messages coming from banks and, of course, other retailers as well. Look, I think that email is not really a great way. I think social media has potentially demonstrated some great benefits for organizations to push a message out, and importantly, to receive some feedback as well.
Yeah.
Well, I have lodged complaints, for example, using social media such as Twitter to organizations, and found that the communication with the organization was quite positive as well. One thing I would like to itemize for organizations pushing out emails or messaging or social media invitations overall is, if they can, to not include a URL to click on in their email, but invite their clients or their prospect clients into finding their way to their website. I think it's a good initiative. Maybe you can see a bit of a trade-off with the user experience, but I think it's providing care to the consumers as well, and informing them that if they receive an email or a communication with a URL, that may not be right as well. And it significantly reduces the likelihood of driving a shopper or a consumer to a fake website as well.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad piece of advice. Okay, look, Guy, we'll keep an eye on sort of the post-event reports and see what type of frauds and losses eventuated. But thank you very much for coming on. It's a sort of a timely one, and I know it was a short notice interview as well. So I do appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. Thanks, Guy. And we'll have your article links into the notes as well. Thanks again. Okay, and as if I know what I'm doing, here's Jacqueline. Jayne, how are you, JJ?
I'm really well, Chris. How are you?
Yeah, let me get the right name up. There we go.
Well,
there we go.
I could try and do the French accent, but
thank you, Jacqueline. Very nice. And you're sweating there. I mean, I like your top there, but you're in Adelaide.
Yes.
So thank you for putting the aircon on and looking cool. There you go.
Of course, yeah, 40 degrees here today, but 21 where I am right now. So
very good. Look, I think last time we met was in Perth. Kevin Mitnick was in town over there. That was last October when things were normal. You're the security awareness advocate for KnowBe4, and as it happens, we're bringing KnowBe4 onto the marketplace. So we'll get there. We'll get there eventually, but we will be reselling KnowBe4. So Jacqueline, introduce us maybe to yourself. Most of us in Australia will know you, but hopefully people around the region and internationally will be watching as well. They should know KnowBe4, I imagine. Kevin Mitnick, the most, what's his tagline? The most...
well, I call him the most infamous.
Most famous hacker in the world. So it's good to be mentioning Kevin's name, and he'll definitely watch this now that we've mentioned his name. So there you go.
Oh, he has no choice.
Okay, so I got a media release from KnowBe4, and they're starting to come out. The second, as we mentioned, we covered this a little bit on Tuesday with HackerOne, but I actually liked yours a little bit better. It was a bit more sort of centered and walking through some of the specifics. So, talk us through the predictions for 2021, and again, we'll walk through them. But I'll hand over to you and maybe a bit about KnowBe4, and then we'll get into it.
Thanks very much. It's always an honour to see you and have a chat again. We tend to do the messaging thing and all the online stuff.
LinkedIn, yeah.
Yep, all the LinkedIn. It's interesting, I must say, even with the COVID-19 changes. I'm okay with it. You get to do some different things that you wouldn't normally have done, I don't think. Even what you're doing right now, Chris.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here otherwise.
No. Look, for me personally, I've spent 20 years now as a conduit between people and technology, and it really is in the area of communication, breaking these things down for everybody to understand both sides of the ledger, because I think some tech people forget that the general user has no idea really what's going on, and people in general don't understand what tech guys have to go through, and girls. So it's sort of bringing them both together and on the same page, and it is like two different languages. I've spent time in all different areas and sectors, so HR and IT, finance, travel, higher education, advertising, sales, marketing, across the board. So it gives me a really good understanding of what's going on in the business itself, whether it be a small or large organisation. The one thing that I loved the most of all the work that I've done was cybersecurity awareness programs and creating a culture of cybersecurity where it was embedded and there was a culture shift and a real change in how people actually cared about cybersecurity. And I love doing that. So KnowBe4, very lucky to work with KnowBe4. We're the world's largest integrated security awareness and training and simulated platform. We're based in Tampa in Florida. We opened 10 years ago, so just had our birthday. And we have an office in Melbourne, which is very exciting. Even though I'm based in Adelaide, it's okay, I still see them as much as I can. And we help tens of thousands of organisations manage the ongoing problem of social engineering. A lot of people think there's a fix or a solution. You're in the cyber industry, you know as well as I do, there is no silver bullet, there is no fix. It's purely awareness and bringing everyone to where we need to be. And the human error is both technical and non-technical, and it's the target for cyber criminals. It's the path of least resistance, and we've all heard, the biggest threat is the human element. You've got to build your human firewalls, and we really do. Tech has done a brilliant job on the flip side of looking after the setup of everything they do. However, that human really does need to be looked after. Predictions, I don't know about you, but you've got to get the crystal ball out. Have you got one prediction for cyber before I go through my list?
Well, something that came up, I don't know which interview it was this week, but the new normal is the new normal. So we just keep saying that this is the new normal.
Different,
it scares me. Yeah, look, it scares me when I look back at our magazine. We've been doing it for 10 years. I can go back to any edition in the past, and it's pretty much reading as it is today. But it is slightly. We carried. There was an article out, report out from Alliance Insurance that they are seeing an uptick in claims, and cyber claims, in cyber insurance has increased, but most of the causes are the human and the internal error. And we're seeing that through the notifiable data breach reports as well. Most of them are still, human error, and that's understandable. People sort of don't have a good day and can stuff up things quite seriously. But I think that's not going to change next year, is that internal aspect. And it is number one on your list, remote working security.
It is. And the interesting thing was when I look back, and look, I'm very fortunate, my team of security awareness evangelists, we're global, there's 7 of us, and when we put together lists like this for predictions, it's funny how when you go back in the previous years, like you've just said, you see it repeated. There are some nuances though, so remote working as we move back to the office, that's going to be another issue to consider because people are even struggling after doing the remote working, being away from people, of how to socialise, or how to actually be in a room with 10 or 15 people. So when we go back to the office, we're going to need to consider all of those elements again and refresh with training, even talking about the physical tailgating element that we often forget when it comes to cybersecurity and the human. But there'll be more of this backwards and forwards from working from home or outside of the office and the office. So that mobile nature of what we do is going to be a big difference for next year. And there will be more data breaches.
Beg your pardon? What was the last bit?
There will be more data breaches as a result.
Yeah, I think, again, I'm just thinking as people come back to the workplace, there might be new people as well. Like that, because it's been an extended period of time, there might be different people. but also, you know, heightened economic situation, the social engineering, and as you say, the tailgating, those types of things do have a change in their risk profile. So, yeah, it's definitely one for security managers to be cognizant of, and it's trying to get people to take it seriously. You know, if you have a security mindset, you're always thinking, as I said, my tagline's I'm an optimistic pessimist, so I'm hoping something goes wrong. And that's the security manager mindset, but most people can't live in that mindset. They think positive, so it's getting them on board. The next one is passwords or not. And again, I've still got one experience, the YubiKey to give away. So if you want to go passwordless, make a comment.
Great idea. Passwords, I think they're around for a while. However, we will see more of an opportunity for people to start to manage them properly. And whether that be a password manager tool, just do a Google search on that and you'll get a list. Usually PC Mag has some really good examples of password manager tools. And I've even been saying, some people say it's controversial, but write them down. It's okay. Don't put them in a file on your computer. Physically write them down, put them somewhere safe. It's okay, because we cannot remember all of them. People are lazy and they'll be reusing their passwords everywhere. We're finding also that everyone's looking for different ways to protect themselves. Nothing is foolproof. Nothing is 100% free of being hacked by someone. The YubiKeys and things like that make it near impossible. So if you can get hold of one of those, you've got one here to give away. So someone put a comment up.
I know. I'm only seeing one Facebook mention. Is anyone watching us? We've got a few people watching us, but that's about it. Okay, it won't work on the recorded version. But the other one is passphrases you could always go to as well. But
absolutely. And
the next one is
realize,
the next one is the MFA exploitation. So it's a multi-factor, right?
There is, and this is an interesting one because people are thinking that MFA is the way to go. It is the answer. It's one answer. Before I talk much more about specific for MFA, let's think about if you were wanting to rob a house, you are not going to come into the one that has the gates, the dogs, the bars on the windows, clear alarm systems. You're going to go to the one that's a little bit easier to get into. They've unlocked the door, windows are jarred open, there's no gates and no dogs. So when you're doing anything online, the more elements of security you can bring into place, the better. However, MFA seems to be one of those, oh yeah, everybody needs that, that's all we need. Well, no, especially SMS MFA code. So for those that aren't aware, it's something you know, something you have, so that you have to have more than one element to let yourself into a particular program or software with your login details. So potentially using something like the Google Authenticator is a better way to go rather than sending a SMS. Because people, would you believe, they can take away your phone number, put it onto another phone, because telcos don't have enough in place really to protect that, and use that to get your SMS codes from your logins, because we sometimes use them as that backup. Forgot my password, send me a code.
Yeah. So
they can be exploited. Still use it though, just be aware that there are other things you need to do as well.
Very good. But otherwise you should have MFA, at least two-factor on all your accounts as best you can. And even I'm still implementing, you kind of realise, oh, I haven't got 2FA on that. Security culture. Now this is right in your sort of ballpark.
It is.
What are we going to see security culture next year? Is everyone going to be crisis exhausted, or are they going to be switched on?
Well, I think the opportunity we have is to leverage our friends in the work health safety area. If you think about going back to work, it's all going to be about social distancing, sanitisers, very much focused on that. And we really have changed our behaviour because we've had to, and it's important, and we realise it's important. So creating a culture of security is very much the same. So rather than just clicking on an email, Guy talked about it with the cyber sales that are going on. You really have to stop and look before you do these things. So when it comes to cyber culture, for next year, we will see more of an uptake of the importance of this becoming a daily habit, cyber life skill, something that you think cyber first, not just one of those, oh yeah, I've got to do that cyber stuff or that cyber training or a better not click. It will become more of an important daily thing that we need to do. And this will increase with a broader understanding of the importance of and the human elements. I did see a shift this year, but because of COVID, it sort of disappeared into what was going on, which is understandable. However, there's no doubt it has definitely risen to the top of the pile with everybody understanding you must be safe online, and you can't just assume that people know that because they don't.
Yeah, I'll give Joshy a plug here with his seven rules of awareness as well.
Yes.
This is where you can, you don't have to have those technical skills in cyber. You can apply some very clever messaging there, and again, how and where you apply your security messages, whether it's online or around the workplace. These are really good opportunities to sort of change that culture, and it's a long game as well. You can't change it overnight.
Right, it's
okay,
ongoing.
Ransomware. Oh, there's two ransomwares. Okay, well, let's just ransomware generally, and then we'll do ransomware mobile attacks.
Well, we've all heard with ransomware that as long as you've got your backup, you're fine. If you've got a good backup, it'll be okay. Well, things have changed, and the leveraging of data exfiltration and stolen employee passwords now, forcing people to actually have to pay to stop the publication of that elsewhere. So it's not so much we won't give it back to you, we won't give it back to you, and you need to pay more money because we're going to give it to other people. So it's a double-edged sword. It's preventing ransomware, and it's one thing that really frustrates me, Chris, is reports are phishing and then ransomware. Now, ransomware, the majority of ransomware happens because of phishing. So if you put those numbers together in all the reports we see, it's a massive issue. Human error is responsible for the majority of ransomware, and it will increase because cybercriminals are telling everyone, pay more, and people are paying more because they have no way of getting their data back. So having your data backed up is, again, critical. I'm not saying don't do it, but I think we're going to see an added bonus for the cybercriminal to say, excellent, we're not going to take away your data, but unless you pay us money, we're going to sell it or give it away or publish it, which is really not a nice thing to do. They'll create that e-store of stolen databases for the public that you can find on the deep and dark web.
It's definitely sort of right up there. We did a roundtable earlier this week in Singapore with CISOs, and ransomware is right up there as a key threat for them to be considering. But now, mobile attacks. What's the ransomware on a mobile device?
Yeah, so scary for consumers because we will see an increase in WhatsApp and SMS fraud, and so not only the number of scams will increase, but cyber criminals, they're just getting bolder and they're asking for higher amounts of money. And for someone just like you or me, we could get that SMS that comes in even from a cyber Monday delivery. It says, click here, it's been delayed. If you would like to come and pick it up, click here. So you click, and that could launch ransomware into your phone. And it would then say, if you want your access to your phone, you need to pay $500, $200, $1,000, whatever it is. We're going to see more of that happening because people, A, don't want to report it. Those that do report it, kudos to them, but thousands of people, in my opinion, don't because they're embarrassed. So these mobile attacks will increase because people, that convenience we have on our devices is just, it's phenomenal. We rely on them. So we're going to want to get that back. And even if it's $100 from a teenager, they'll pay it. They've probably got the access these days to pay that money. It's really scary.
Any particular applications on the mobile devices? You mentioned SMS, but then there's the sort of the others, the WhatsApp and the WeChats.
Yep.
And
it's anything. If you think about where we're looking at a lot, you can put WhatsApp on your phone and onto your PCs now.
Yeah.
So you can be doing both. And it's more about once you've clicked, you don't actually know what's going to happen after you've clicked or opened an attachment or engaged in some way, shape or form in these messages. So you just need to be cautious and aware, and especially on your mobile phones, I think we underestimate what these guys, these cyber criminals, can actually do to get into our data and our information.
Nice. Okay, we're down to, I think, the last three. We've got phishing. We've kind of covered phishing, but it's getting better. You can still spot it. You should be able to.
Yeah, look, the thing with phishing is there's always going to be phishing in inboxes, whether it be at work or at home. And some people have multiple email addresses, and the cyber criminals are getting incredibly sophisticated, and they will use moving back to the working environment and the office as an opportunity to make life hard for us to have to spot all the red flags. and the COVID vaccine, we're going to see that increase to say, here, get your hands on the vaccine early, pay a deposit, whatever it might be. They will use every trick in the book to just scam as much as they possibly can to either get your data or get your money.
I think you've nailed it there. I'm pretty sure that one's going to come true on the vaccine. There was a 637% increase in COVID-related phishing attacks. So the vaccine and the different types of vaccines, yeah, that's going to be one to watch as well. So I think you're on the money there.
There'll be up domain registrations of COVID vaccine-related things.
And they want your personal information, and you're going to kind of want to register for the vaccine, register here, get it early. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hard one to manage, and I think you're just going to have to go to those official health websites at government level, right?
Like with anything, you must go to the official websites for shopping and for everything else. Don't rely on other emails that come through.
Yeah, avoid the unofficial ones if you can. Industrial control systems, ICS, and I just covered off this morning with CyberArk actually. So definitely seeing this year the more uptake on IT, OT security discussions. What's the trend there or prediction?
This has been continuous for many years, and I don't think we've seen the bad results yet. Either we're lucky or we're doing something right, but they will increase against the ICS area because they want to cause as much disruption as they can. This is normally state-based actors, not necessarily the cyber criminals that are trying to get you scamming for your credit card details. This is a much larger scale, and it's all about disruption, a lot of political aspects behind it as well. So whilst there's no specific predictions for next year, there will be either the continuous of what we've seen or an increase, sadly, in our local government.
Yeah, I imagine also some verticals, particularly when we're seeing trade disputes. Those that are involved in any trade disputes should be on alert. And the last one, QR code phishing.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, especially because at the moment here in Adelaide or South Australia, we're launching the QR code as part of registering when you go into a premises for COVID-19. And it's printed. And the first thing that I thought when I saw it was, really? Because QR codes aren't really seen as that opportunity to phish because it's a code that sits there and, well, of course, it's going to be okay. But what cyber criminals do is they will print out another code and either stick it on with a sticker or actually glue it physically on, and people will just go past and scan. Now, what consumers and even everybody in business may not realise is if you scan, it could launch something. It could create an opportunity for your phone to automatically call someone else, send an email. It can do anything. It's like a macro for, okay, someone scanned, let's take them to a website that they didn't realise they were going to. And I don't think, from everything I've read, people have really understood that this is a critical thing. It's people are sticking these QR codes up that are malicious just on walls, and people we're curious folk, we want to click and see what that does.
Well, you could even put a QR code at the front of a restaurant, for example, and a bit like the card skimming, you just skim off until they determine that it's not right. You might catch half a dozen people.
Exactly.
Okay. Have you seen any reports of this? I can't say I've seen any.
There's been 28 reports through ScamWatch this year of QR code phishing. New South Wales and Victoria. So what we need to do, and I did some research, like how do you stop this, is Kaspersky have a QR code checking app on both platforms. So I've downloaded that, and you use that to scan, and it will tell you if it's malicious. It will actually check it before it connects. So that's a really good idea to use these days, but I'm not seeing enough. There's been little bits of reports, Chris, but not enough if we're going to be using QR codes. I know Victoria are, I know South Australia are, and I'm sure it will move everywhere else. Yeah. But cyber criminals are opportunistic.
Well, they're one step ahead. So, yeah, I'll throw that out to the audience. Anyone else who wants to throw in a link to, not a false QR code, a real, sort of any of the tools Kaspersky's mentioned. I know Erin at Kaspersky will love that.
Yeah.
If you can send us the link through on that, Jacqueline, we'll include that in the notes. And that's pretty much it. Normalized and various serious attack vectors, all of those. I think, how many was there? Was there 10? One?
There could be.
Okay,
I could keep going, but let's not.
Look, we'll come back to you on those, and I think I held off on releasing that particular list until we did this, and so once this is out, we'll have that full list in the show notes as well, and on one of the websites also. So look, thank you so much, Jacqueline. We'll have KnowBe4 on again, no doubt, and yeah, appreciate it. That's pretty much it for the show too. We've gone about 45 minutes. So thank you very much to Guy. Thank you, Jacqueline. Jayne from KnowBe4. And I'm going to sign off there, and I have nothing else to say. So it's a Friday afternoon, and it's I'm going to do a Vino series of these in the end.
Yes.
So we'll sort of lock down in previous one evening. But otherwise, it's beer o'clock in Sydney.
Well, I'm sure it's beer o'clock somewhere over here. So
it's beer o'clock. As they say, it's beer o'clock somewhere, anywhere in the world. So look, thank you to those that have joined in. We'll keep that audience coming up, but otherwise you can check this out on YouTube, Facebook, and on LinkedIn. Jacqueline, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. See you guys. Bye-bye.
And thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you on Tuesday. We have Yubico. No one has grabbed that last Yubico, so if you still have an opportunity, you can still sign in. Otherwise, we've got 6 clear, what are they called? The 5 CI. So 6 5 CI clears with Yubico on Tuesday afternoon. Otherwise, you can subscribe at mysec.tv, and it's #MySecurityTV. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you on Tuesday.